Well, as promised, our reporter Canny Maphanga has been stationed in Pretoria following, of course, the commission, and she joins us live now for an update. So, Canny, a very good afternoon to you. Quite unexpected of day 3, of course, of the Madlanga inquiry to wrap up quite so early. I mean, but it delivered nothing short of explosive testimony from General Mkhwanazi, specifically on the activities as well as access to high-level, sometimes even classified information. A series of further high-profile names also being put forth as part, of course, of evidence. Briefly take us through some of the highlights of today's sitting.
Indeed, good afternoon to you, Alicia, and to the viewers at home. Well, for now, the Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, that is the KZN top cop, that made that media briefing that triggered this commission of inquiry into allegations of criminality, political interference, and corruption in the criminal justice system, has completed his evidence before the commission. However, he still may be recalled, Alicia, as we know that some of these allegations he's made must still be tested. Other witnesses are still going to be called to give their version of events, and of course it will be tested against that information that is received by the commission as well. So essentially what we've seen him do is paint the various institutions of the criminal justice system which he charges interfered in the work of the criminal justice system. We get this round-up picture that centers around this Gauteng operation of an alleged drug cartel. He states that the work of the political killings task team is based in KZN, and it's about the political violence and addressing that problem there. However, when they joined those CGI ops in Gauteng, that is when their problem started, because they joined that particular operation and then started to nab key figures that enjoyed a kind of comfort within various areas of the criminal justice system, including the executive as well. We saw him start his testimony this morning with the figure of Brown Mkhwanazi, who is the alleged associate of the police minister. That is Senzo Mchunu, and he detailed how he came to learn about this figure and his alleged close links not only to this drug cartel but to the police minister Senzo Mchunu. He went through various WhatsApp messages that he had in his possession that he pulled from the phone of Vusumuzi Kat Matlala. That is because Vusumuzi Kat Matlala has been arrested by the PKTT, and it was revealed through those WhatsApp text exchanges that this particular individual, who actually is not a member of SABC, had access to those critical documents and was able to inform Vusumuzi Kat Matlala that the persons that had gone to his home to do a search or ask him questions were going to be disbanded, i.e. the PKTT would be disbanded. He gave Matlala this information before Mkhwanazi, who was working with this particular team, could even find out that information. So it gives us the sense of the kind of deeply embedded network that you have between this cartel and law enforcement and allegedly the police minister, Senzo Mchunu. Of course, we expect that they'll be answering to a number of those allegations. He's also addressed why he felt the need to reveal this information in the form of that 6th July media briefing, stating that he did not break protocol. He also concedes that the regalia, which was the subject of much debate that he wore during that briefing, was somewhat of a show of force, because they were now dealing directly with this threat that they had identified against the criminal justice system. He goes into great detail about the General Shajik Sabia, who is currently on suspension right now following those allegations, and goes into his alleged ties with Paul O'Sullivan. He also goes into various media reports that were addressed against him and how he felt that this was unfair because there wasn't a lot of research that was done to conduct this. And then he goes into the overall motive behind why this information was made public, stating that he's not new to the police. He's talking about someone with over 30 years of service, and he's seen this kind of conduct in 2011 before with previous administrations where there was an interference in the criminal justice system, and he charges that he could not sit back and allow for this kind of interference to rear its ugly head again in our constitutional democracy. But to quickly wrap up this very important evidence, which I'm sure will be revisited again as the Commission seeks to see more witnesses and hear more testimony. Of course, Mkhwanazi has wrapped up that evidence. Prof. Rakubu, you join us now. She's a criminologist that has been with us for most of the testimony this week by Mkhwanazi. quite interesting developments coming out, but it seems that the common goal was to expose this drug cartel operating in Gauteng and the kind of comfort it enjoys and the kind of people that invested in protecting the interests of this particular cartel.
Definitely. Today we got to hear the magnitude of this political interference, connection, political relationship, and the extent of this corruption within just this cluster. We also got to name dropping was also the order of the day to strengthen argument. He continued to reiterate his claims around links between the minister and most other people that he has mentioned. And also we got to understand the importance of utilization of the WhatsApp messages as evidence, which now it looks like it's going to be admissible here. It looks admissible in here, and it's going to identify and connect necessary dots. So again, he continued to name drop because of the position individuals held in the SAPS. But what came out is the background around Sibia's position, Sibia's capability and past experiences with Sibia and past allegations to also assist the commission understand why Sibia, why don't you trust Sibia, where did it start, where is it going? So hence he had to now bring in a city of Johannesburg so that people can easily relate and understand. And also the General Khan was also mentioned here, a critical figure because of the position, which again the commission will have to tap into that space to check if there was any wrongdoing, political infiltration or prejudice or even a force into certain decisions being taken. So that's what centered today's testimony supported by evidence.
And now do you think one of the recommendations should be, because we're seeing the SAP structure has a lot of ranks that enjoy power in various different units, and sometimes they operate at cross purposes, and that's what we've seen in the evidence given by Mkhwanazi today. If there were to ever be an overhaul of the SAPs, how could these units better work with each other to not work across purposes, where you have one unit that can be accessed by an organized crime syndicate and then you have another unit that is fighting that particular threat?
All of this has to lead to a systemic reform. We've been talking of the policing reform for quite some time. All this that has been mentioned here is that within the SAPS there are two groups, if not more than two, which makes it difficult to police. You've got offenders within the organization and protectors. So it's too much complicated and complex. Now the commission can recommend restructuring to also deal away with the executive powers that the ministers will always have an overstep on the responsibilities of commissioners or commanders. Because if you check here, we've got that issue around that thin line. Who was supposed to do what at a particular time? Who brought in this cartel? And which prescripts allowed for that room to bring in those people? First day he highlighted section 206 in the constitution to easily clarify where issues can be, to say your responsibility legally is this and mine is this. As I do this, you talk to me. But it looks like that did not happen. So the commission can only recommend. Remember the limitations around the powers. They can only recommend. It's not legally binding, but we wish for more, like I always say, actionable recommendations that can always be revisited to check and monitor if the recommendation has been acted upon.
All right, thank you. That was Prof. Rakubu there. Well, certainly Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi has connected some dots for the commissions, but what he has also done is created further questions for several individuals. I'm sure there's several questions that they'll have for the police minister, rather, Senzo Mchunu, regarding his role in this alleged political interference. There are several questions for Brian Mkhwanazi as to who is this individual, What is his close association allegedly to the police minister? Why does he have access to all these internal police documents? And why was it his interest to get in contact with Vusimuzi Madlanga on behalf, allegedly, of the minister? There's certainly other questions for former Minister Begicele on his role with the issue of Major General Faraz Khan, why he felt it prudent to request the Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi to release General Khumalo to Gauteng. What was the motive behind that? Certainly more questions are going to emerge from this commission. We'll continue to monitor it as it does the important work of investigating those allegations of interference in the criminal justice system. Over to you in studio.
Thank you so much to SABC News senior reporter Canny Maphanga. They're live to us at the Commission of Inquiry that is looking into those allegations of high-level interference within our judiciary. And you saw just a couple of minutes ago, of course, the man behind those allegations, that is KZN Provincial Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, wrapping up his evidence.